Welcome back to the Unleashed Advisors. I'm Craig Nash, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Annie Nash, and today we are going to talk about new construction and the process of buying a new construction home. Welcome, Annie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So let's just dive right in.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this topic was because we've talked a lot lately. It seems like my entire real estate career about we've had low inventory. And one of the ways to address that is with new construction homes. And I don't think you can drive anywhere around in the upstate now without seeing all these what maybe were beautiful pieces of property, hundreds of acres, tens of acres, where they're now being developed into the neighborhoods to help ease that lack of inventory issue we've had.
It's all over the upstate right now.
Yeah, everywhere you turn.
Everywhere you turn, there's a new subdivision going in somewhere.
Yep. So what we wanted to do today was just kind of talk through, have a few questions about how buyers, if you've been thinking about buying a house, but you're not sure if you want to do resale or if you want to look at new construction, just kind of how to navigate that process, because new construction is just a little bit different than buying a resale or a previously owned home. So
that kind of leads us off to the first question. How is it different?
So I think one of the biggest differences, you're getting a brand new home, right? So nobody's lived there before. And I like to say that homes are kind of like this living organism that doesn't move. And the reason I say that is they're generally going to come with at least a 1-year warranty, some form of a 2, 5, some other warranty that's the things behind the wall. It's going to cover those items. And then you've got some kind of a structural warranty. And I've heard anywhere from 8, 10, 12 years. All of them are a little bit different.
Depends on the builder.
Right. It depends on the builder and the warranty program that they have. So that's different than a resale, where a resale, you might get a 1-year home warranty, but it's not going to be like what it is on new construction. And you really need that on new construction because this home has never been lived in. It's never had furniture put around. It's never had people moving around. So it's going to kind of like settle into place. So you'll see some things. A lot of times you'll see if nothing goes wrong, if everything is absolutely perfect, you're still probably going to have nail pops at the end. You might get some little settlement cracks. They're not major structural problems. They're just the house settling into place. And so you want those warranty so that you can see that.
Yeah. I mean, the houses, they never had furniture in them. So, you're increasing the weight load and all that stuff in them. So things are going to pop and creak and, moan and groan a little bit, I guess you could say. And, so those things need to be taken care of as you move along.
Yeah.
So
the other thing about it is, so it is new construction. It has been through inspections and stuff like that. So they know all the things are put together the right way, but it's never had somebody draw a tub and had water. It's had water set in there, but I guess that's maybe not a good example. But you haven't used everything. So you don't know, maybe there is a little leak somewhere or there's something that doesn't work quite right.
Yeah, so like the systems and stuff, like the plumbing hasn't been used on a daily basis. It hasn't been, the stove hasn't run every day or, stuff like that. The dishwasher hasn't been run every day. So when you actually start using the house, things might come up.
Yeah,
so.
and that's where the warranty really helps you out. Whereas on a resale, somebody's lived there, they know the house, they can give you all of that information, and you get an idea of that.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so one of the things that is very similar to a resale, when you buy a new construction home, would you recommend having an inspection?
Oh, for sure. Builders are human. They make mistakes. They miss things. So it's good to have a third set of eyes to come look at that house and to understand exactly what is going on with that house. And that way exactly going into it what the issue is, if there is an issue. And then the builder can address it before you move in. So, that's just a wonderful way to do it. We represent a builder up in Chesney, and we have what we call a blue tape tour, and we ask that the inspection be done before the blue tape tour. And we come in and, tape up everything, like if there's a smudge in the paint, if there's something just out of ordinary, like the one of my favorite ones is the light switches plate might be a little crooked. So I'm like, it needs to be perfect. So, we blue tape all that stuff up, and the project manager, the builder comes in and they fix all that before closing, before the final walkthrough and everything. And it gets all checked off. It's like a punch list and it all gets gone through and boom, we're done. So that's the wonderful thing about those kind of things. And the inspection is just another set of eyes on the ins and outs of the house. Behind them, might be in the attic, might be in the crawl space, it might be somewhere else. They're going to look at everything. They're going to test every electrical outlet. They're going to test the systems and make sure they're working properly. Mm-hmm. So definitely get an inspection.
Yeah. Well, and I recommend getting an inspection because the home, even though it's got all the permits and everything like that, and they have to go through inspections to get those permits approved or final written off and all that stuff, it's not as detailed of an inspection as hiring an inspector to come in and do that for you.
Right.
So, yeah, I still recommend
they're going to look at it with a fine-tooth comb. So, and the other thing we kind of recommend, too, is that, if you have a 1-year warranty on a home, we suggest that you get an inspection done around 11 months.
Yeah, well, and that's going to depend on the builder and what their warranty program is. But if you've got one, I know when we were really doing a lot of it, we had purchased a Mungo home, and their warranty was that way. And we did that. We had an inspection at the beginning, and then we had an inspection in 11 months so that we could turn that over. And we had some things that they had to fix.
Yep.
And so it turned out really well. So make sure you know your warranty.
Yeah. Again, that's because we lived in the house for 11 months and stuff comes up. So
Yeah.
it's good to have that, again, the third set of eyes, and, can document it and get it fixed for you. So.
Yeah. So let's back things up just a little bit. When we're talking about new construction, how does somebody go about purchasing a new construction home? Like, what are some of the first steps?
Well, as usual, you always need to talk to a lender or something and get pre-qualified, okay, before you even go out and look, just so you understand what your budget is and, understand everything that is going into what your mortgage is going to look like if you purchase a home. So the next process is to find a realtor that knows new construction, I guess, or, is very capable of finding out the information you need about new construction, because it is all over the board when it comes to different builders here in the upstate. I mean, they all offer a little different. They all offer, just a whole different variety of stuff that they do in their homes. So it's just good to know where you want to be and what builder is out there that is providing the product that you want. Yeah. So then you're just going and looking.
Yeah. So I guess where I was kind of going with this question also was, to me, it's similar to buying a new car. Mm-hmm. You can drive through the parking lot where all the new car dealerships are and pick out your car, or you can go to used car dealerships and find that. When you go to a new construction community and you're looking at the homes there, there's generally agents there. Not every community is that way, but a lot of times there's an agent on site. One of the things that we've talked about, and you mentioned just a minute ago, was you should have an agent that knows the new construction market and that kind of thing. Would you recommend just going in and talking to the agent on duty?
It depends. So I recommend that you get an agent for yourself, just so you're represented in the transaction. And what I mean by that is that the agent on duty in these national builders like D.R. Horton, they're looking out for D.R. Horton. Mm-hmm. Okay. So they represent the builder, and, they want to get the best deal for the builder. So I recommend that you get your own agent. That way they represent you and they take care of your interest versus the builder's interest. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I look at it. And I know we represent a builder, but it's a little different with a custom builder, somewhat. And what I mean by that is that, our customer, even if, you come in and talk to us, we're going to do what we want you to have the best product for you. Mm-hmm. So that's just us, though. I mean, we're going to do what is right for the person that's buying the home. Mm-hmm. So, and we're going to do right for our builder too. So,
yeah, because at the end of the day, when anybody who's in that model home, whether it's us out at Verde Farms, or anywhere else we are, or one of the national builders with their agents on duty, or even if you're walking into an open house at a resale, the agent that's there is there to represent the seller.
Yep.
They're not necessarily there to represent you as a buyer. They can help navigate you, and I like to have everybody's going to try to do their best for you and be as honest and forthcoming. But when you walk into any of those, remember that they're working for the seller. So I think that's an important note and special thing for buyers who are out looking at new construction or resales and open houses. Have that in your mind.
Yeah, that's very much important. The other thing that's really interesting is some of the agents that like represent, a national builder, whoever that is, they can only work for the national builder. So that's kind of a factor that you need to kind of understand too going into it. Like if you need to list a home, they can't represent you in listing that home. So so it's important to find that agent that is out there in the marketplace that can actually represent you with multiple different builders, because it might be you might not like this community and there's a different builder over here that's working that you like that community, but you can have that agent talk to all those different builders for you to get you into the product that you really want.
So how would you respond to somebody asking you if they're going into to the national builders without an agent because they want to save money? They don't want to have to pay the buyer's agent.
I really don't think you're saving money, so I think it's in your best interest to get represented. Yeah.
Well, and the other piece of that is because I've represented buyers and we've gone to new construction, and one would offer bonuses to agents. And I had a conversation because I had somebody pushing back on, I just want to go. I don't want to have my own agent because I want to save money. They're not going to charge me the 3% that you are. Well, that's not true, especially with the national builders. The compensation that they pay to buyer's agent comes out of a completely different budget. It's not on the price of the house. So I highly recommend getting a buyer's agent to represent yourself. You will come out of the transaction better than.
Yeah, because you're going to, most people don't realize what a buyer agent really does and what value they actually add. They're going to stay on top of that other agent to make sure that the deal's moving forward smoothly, and to make sure that, what that builder says as they're going to do, that they're going to do it, and that you're not having any surprises at the end of it. So at the closing table, which, that happens, sometimes when somebody's going in there representing themselves. And there's also the case of where you don't know what you don't know, but the agent that's representing you is going to go work for you and has been in, the industry for a little while, and they kind of understand what's going on. So, or at least they should understand what's going on, and they're going to, go find you out what you don't know. So that's the advantages of buyer agents. So there's nothing, to be honest with you, saving money on that stuff is not really an option when it comes to that. The price of the home is going to be the price of the home. And, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
So what else you got about new construction?
So are prices on new construction homes negotiable?
Everything's negotiable. Whether the builder says yes or no, that's another question.
Yeah.
So you can always ask, and what I mean by everything is negotiable, everything is negotiable. So, whether they put a tree up in the backyard is a negotiation, so it's, we can just write it in the contract and get going, and whatever you want to ask for, you can ask for. It might be a refrigerator, it might be blinds, it might be, paint colors and all that stuff. House might not even be built yet. So you can ask all those kind of questions and what you want and how you want to design it and stuff like that. Every builder is a little different. So, one builder might have plan A, B, and C. You choose from one of those plans, and it might have all the color schemes and everything like that. Another one might be, hey, you can choose this color, you can do this, whatever it is. Here's what the prices are for that. So really, I mean, it's all over the board on what a builder offers.
Yeah.
So
I think the space where you have the most negotiating power as a buyer on new construction is going to be the houses that are already built, that are ready to move in. At least that's where I've had the most success in trying to negotiate different pieces. Price, sometimes you've got some room to negotiate. Usually it's some of the other things. Your closing time frame, getting closing costs and stuff like that from builders. Speaking of closing costs, one of the benefits to using new construction is they offer a lot of incentives.
Mm-hmm.
Can you discuss some of the incentives that new construction offers?
Well, right now, the biggest one is an interest rate buy down. They do a lot of that. And the way that works is like a big national builder will sit there and go out on the open market, and they'll go to a bank and say, hey, I want to buy this many mortgages, this dollar amount of mortgages at this rate. Okay. And then they will offer that to their buyers that come in just because they have the ability. It's like Walmart buying in bulk is what it is. So it's just, that's a good example of it. But it's just just a national builder going out and buying those mortgages at a certain rate, and then they offer them to the people just to make it more attractive for them to come in and buy their homes. Mm-hmm. And that's why you have to use their lender, is because it's their money that they're lending. So that's kind of how that works. So you might get that's probably the biggest one I see right now is the lower interest rate that you can get on a new home versus a resale home where you have to use a lender that's going to get you the normal rate. They're not buying it in bulk. So that's the big one. And, there's other incentives that they offer. You can, some of them offer like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 incentive, whatever it is to use for whatever you want. Like it could be putting in a fence, it could be buying a refrigerator, whatever you want to use it for, you could just use it in closing cost. So there's always those kind of deals going on. So it's always good to work with a realtor to understand exactly what each builder is doing. Mm-hmm. So, and to find out those questions for you and what you can get from one builder to the next. So,
are there any catches to be able to receive those incentives that builders are offering?
Yeah, there's usually, the one is that you have to use their lender or you have to use their closing attorney. So those are the big two that are going on. And it's because they're, it's their money that they're giving, to buy down that rate. So that's the big ones. So what do you like about new construction?
I think my favorite thing about new construction is that you have the ability, I got a lot of favorite things about it. So some of my favorite things about new construction is that you've got the ability to go into a brand new home. A lot of times it's like the most current trends or most current looks in the home. So I think gray is starting to fade and we're coming back to some new colors. So you'll have some on-trend colors in the home. You've got some on-trend finishes in the home. Even the floor plans are, more exciting sometimes. But something outside of the house that I really like as a benefit to new construction, especially if you're moving in from out of town, if you don't really know anybody in the area, what I found when we moved into a new neighborhood that was all new construction is everybody's new. So nobody's got those friendships already formed. And so everybody's looking to meet somebody new. It created a huge community for me in that neighborhood. Met some of the most amazing people, which when we've moved into resale neighborhoods, you've got friendly neighbors, but they've already got their friends. They already know their neighbors. And so they come by and they're nice. But it's really easy to build those relationships quickly in a new construction community. Yeah. And that's probably for me because I'm the relationship kind of girl. I want to know everybody. That's my favorite thing about new construction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. The whole aspect of building new friendships and stuff like that is really cool in the new construction community. So I like that a lot. I like the cleanliness and the crisp new appearance of new homes. So it's just good to go walk into those and kind of know that the issues are going to be minimal as far as, not a lot going on with issues with the house. So that's always nice. It just seems to be a lot cleaner as far as that goes. So that's a wonderful thing for me.
So what are some of the challenges about moving into new
That's a
construction?
great question. So there are a lot of challenges moving into new construction. One of those is if you're working with a builder and it is what it is, that's what you get. There's no, I want to change this to the house or any of that stuff. It's what they build. So, I mean, you might be able to change a color here or there, or you might be able to choose a different package or something like that, but that's before it's built. If it's built, it is what it is. They aren't going to come in and change this stuff and change that stuff.
Well, and we're seeing a lot more of that, especially when COVID, that whole thing in 2021, that time frame, it seemed like, because we were looking at some before then, and you could make changes to the houses. And then they completely changed their stance, and they were like, nope, once we order the package,
this is what it is.
It is what it is, and we're no longer giving you the option to change or do it before it's released.
Yeah, so it's interesting that's changed a little bit, but yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges because people like to make it their own a little bit. Most of the new construction homes are pretty plain Janes, so to speak, as far as this is what it is.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges, and finding that right product for that buyer is the challenge with that. So. How about you? What are you finding as far as the challenge goes?
I think one of the challenges to moving into new construction, especially if it's a larger neighborhood and you're just one of the first ones, is you're going to have to live for a while with dirt on the road, with trucks going up and down, and they'll make a construction entrance and stuff like that. So you might not have as much. But I know when we lived in new construction neighborhoods,
the noise.
Well, the noise.
Yeah.
But also they did a nice job of cleaning up. I think it was every Friday they came through and they cleaned all the roads and stuff like that so that, over the weekend it wasn't all messy. But we ran, I don't know how many nails we hit.
Yeah.
And so we went through a lot of tires. But just having to deal with that part. And while they're building, and you're getting all the new neighbors and all that stuff, that's great. But the other thing, especially lately, you've got a lot of dark colors are the new trend for houses. And that dust goes everywhere. So if you've got a white house, you now have an orange house. So you've got to wash it off. Or if you've got a black house, it's got an orange hue to it. So the dust that gets stirred up as you're building and stuff like that, I think that's one of the negatives too. If you were moving into a resale home that's all established, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So just so you know, we all live in South Carolina. So when she talks about orange, it's because of the clay.
Yes.
So
it's lovely.
Yeah. So that's just kind of, part of it. But, what about the advantages of new construction? You know what I mean?
Well, we kind of talked about that. So an advantage to new construction for me is one, you can get that lower interest rate possibly. That's going to be more on the major big builders that bought these mortgages a few years ago when the rates were lower. But you get a nice, pretty new home, and you get that warranty. That's a big sense of comfort for me. It relieves a lot of fear or a lot of unknown where you go into a resale and yes, you've had the inspections done. And so you think you know what's kind of going on, but with new construction, you've got that warranty. So if something happens that you didn't catch during inspection, you've got somebody to call to say, hey, you need to come fix this. And it's not coming out of your pocket. And then you've got the two, three, whatever that mechanical warranty is, and then the structural warranty as well. So that is a lot of reassurance that I really like for new construction.
Yeah. So, I mean, exactly right. There's a little bit of security blanket there with the warranty stuff. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest advantages for me anyway. Is there anything that you would give advice to, like a buyer first time home buyer or just a buyer as far as new construction goes over resale, or does it really matter to you?
Yeah. So I think my advice to a first-time home buyer, or just somebody who's going in and thinking about buying a new house, and you're thinking of new construction, sure, drive through the neighborhoods that you want, go look around, but reach out to a real estate agent, reach out to a buyer's agent, have somebody that's going to be representing you so that they can walk you through the process, because that's what we do every day. Our goal is to represent you as a buyer and make sure that your interests are being protected. There are a lot of really great agents that are working at all of the national builders. They're there to sell those houses, but they're not there to make sure that your interests are protected. And so I think having that agent that's there to work for you, I think that's probably my number one recommendation to people.
Definitely. And here's another key to that is, I know you and I have built relationships with those agents at those communities.
Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah.
And they want to do a good job too.
Yeah. But we also have that relationship with them. So we kind of know what those processes are. So find an agent that has a relationship with the builders and is in new construction and understands who is at that site, and they can get you information a lot quicker and a lot, the stuff that you want to know in a very timely manner. So, so it's not, hit or miss, So it's a matter of actually, doing the work ahead of time for an agent anyway to actually go build those relationships.
Yeah.
So, I like working with the new construction agents. They're just entertaining sometimes. So
yeah. I guess here's an anecdotal evidence of why you should have a buyer's agent when you're going into new construction. I had some clients, some buyers that I met with them after they had looked at new construction and they changed their mind, but it cost them $10,000. So it was a $10,000 mistake.
Yes.
They didn't understand the process. They didn't understand the documents that they signed, and they paid a $10,000 deposit, and then they decided that they really couldn't buy that house. If they had had a buyer's agent, they may not have made that same mistake. Now, I can't promise you, you're not going to have the same thing, but at least if I had been there, we would have negotiated some things a little differently, because the next day you shouldn't lose $10,000.
yeah.
So that's why I say have a buyer's agent, have somebody there to represent you, because they'll know some more of the ins and outs.
Have somebody there that represents you and understands the contract.
Yeah.
And understand what's going in there and why it's going in there.
Yeah.
And being able to explain it to you so you understand what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and a builder's contract is sometimes oftentimes it's very different than the state contract that we use for other things, but we can still read through it. We can ask those questions and make sure that our clients are represented.
And make sure you're comfortable with the process.
Yeah.
God forbid if you're not comfortable, just don't do it,
Yeah.
So that's some great advice.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for watching this video with us and learning a little bit about new construction, and click the subscribe button below, and we'd love to hear your comments about new construction. And if you need any help, please reach out to us. So look out, world. We are unleashed.